In this lesson, I want to show you how the target pseudoclass works. It dynamically applies styles to a page element that's been accessed through a fragment identifier at the end of a URL. To show you what I mean, I've got this page open in Google Chrome, and I'll right-click this link and select Inspect Element. And it's given me the underlying HTML markup. I'll just click below it to make it easier to read. You can see that the link, the href, points to target begin.html followed by this hash sign or pound sign and the word friars. That's what's called a URL fragment identifier. What it does is it looks for a named anchor or an ID within the page, and it goes to that particular point in the page. Let's just close this console here and click the link. And you can see that it's taken me to Friars Market, but there's no more content in the page. So normally when you access a target link like this, it would be right at the very top, but because it's lower down on the page, it's not quite so easy to notice. So the purpose of the target pseudo class is to give a different style to something that's been accessed like this so that it draws attention to it. So let's go into Dreamweaver. Let's just check this heading here. It's a heading 2, Friars. Right, so I need to make my target h2 and then the target pseudo class, and I'm going to give it a background color. Open the color picker. The color picker is using hexadecimal, so I need to go here and the color format menu and select RGBA because I want to give it a translucent background. So I've got RGBA, and then that green is what I want, and change the alpha transparency from 1, which is fully opaque, to 0.2, which is fairly transparent. So it'll give me a nice pale green. The other thing I want to do is to add a little bit of padding. 3 pixels will do the trick. So let's just save that page, or save the style sheet. And I'll get the browser to test it again. So let's click that link. And as you can see, I've now got a nice pale green background behind that heading. So it gives me a very good indication that here we are, we're at the point, the target that we wanted to get to. Now the interesting thing about the target pseudo class is that if you don't have the fragment identifier at the end of the URL, it doesn't apply the style. So I'm going to just delete that fragment identifier and reload the page. You can see it's no longer styled. So if you access the page directly, no style. If you access it using a fragment identifier or using a URL that's got a fragment identifier at the end of it, then you get that nice style. But I'd like to improve it a little bit more by adding a transition to it. So let's get back into Dreamweaver. Transitions are normally applied to the main element and not to the dynamic element. So instead of doing it with the target pseudo class, I'm going to apply the transition to the h1, h2 selector. So transition. And what I want to affect is the background color. So I'll type in background color. That's the transition property. And then the transition duration, I'm going to make 2 seconds. The unit of measurement for seconds in CSS is just the letter S, and there should be no space between the number and the unit of measurement. And finally, I need to select the transition timing function, and I'm going to use ease out. That's the standard transition property, but it's fairly new, and for all browsers you need to add the vendor-specific prefixes. So copy that and paste it 4 times. Then I need to add the vendor-specific prefixes -moz for Firefox, -ms for Internet Explorer. I believe that transitions will be available in Internet Explorer from version 10. Then O for Opera and WebKit. So let us just save that. And let's get the browser to test it again. So we'll link to it. And this time you see that the background color has faded in gently. So a nice little transition there. Neither the target pseudo class nor the transition that I've just applied will work in older browsers, but certainly no functionality is lost. You're enhancing the experience for users with modern browsers.